A man piloted a helicopter straight up to 10,000 meters, ready to detonate a nuclear bomb, but miraculously landed safely the next second. This man is named Arjun, and he has a dual identity. Not only is he a renowned webcomic artist, but he was also a top agent for South Korea's National Intelligence Service. He has carried out missions around the world in places like Russia, Japan, and China, defeated many evil forces, and made enemies with numerous gangs. After retiring, he began drawing comics, depicting his past experiences as a secret agent. Some netizens suspected that the protagonist of the comic was based on Ajun's real life. However, during an interview, Ajun clarified that the comic's character was not related to him, stating that he wouldn't even dare to step on an ant. This statement was overheard by a few gangsters whom Ajun had previously defeated, and they became furious. They decided to smuggle themselves into Korea to seek revenge on Ajun. However, as soon as the Japanese smuggler Scarface arrived at the port, he was intercepted by Agent AG. After a confrontation, Scarface was defeated. Eventually, he was thrown into prison, and the captain nearby was watching the scene when he suddenly received a call from Arjun. Arjun invited the captain and Ajay to attend an art exhibition hosted by his wife, Meena. Meena comes from a well-off family, and Arjun is particularly skilled at charming her with cheesy compliments, which always make her laugh with joy. At the exhibition, the couple affectionately discussed the tea plan. In a moment of passion, Arjun gave his wife a passionate kiss, and shortly after, the captain arrived at the exhibition to congratulate them, bringing a special gift. Toilet paper, and when Arjun saw the captain's gift, his face changed immediately.
정말 창피해 죽겠네. 집들이 왔어요? 두루마리 휴지를 누가 가져와 여기를?
The captain awkwardly said it could be used in the bathroom, but then his friend Aji arrived with 2 big packs of toilet paper. Ajun was so frustrated he nearly rolled his eyes. How did he know 2 such clueless people? Luckily, his wife Meina didn't care, and introduced the captain to a beautiful girl named Haiyuan, the art exhibition organizer. The captain was so struck by Haiyuan's beauty that he was speechless. However, he didn't reveal his true identity to Haiyuan, and instead made up a title of a university professor. Haiyuan immediately showed appreciation and complimented him on his handsomeness, saying he must be popular with students. During the chat, she mentioned the captain's wife. The captain quickly clarified he was still a golden bachelor.
갔다 왔어요?
오리지널 싱글입니다.
거짓말. 말이 안...
Upon hearing the captain's response, the sailor was surprised and covered his mouth, starting to laugh, not expecting the captain to have such a great sense of humor. Then the sailor handed the captain a business card, gave a flirtatious wink, and left. But the next moment he approached Aji and started a conversation. Aji's eyes lit up when he saw the beauty, and he nervously began to babble, accidentally dropping the water cup in his hand. Embarrassed, he quickly knelt down to wipe the sailor's shoes, but the sailor also crouched down and grabbed Aji's hand and handed over her card. Ajay, who got the card, was so thrilled he couldn't stop grinning. Neither he nor the captain expected this person was a female Casanova, chatting with both at once. Meanwhile, Russian stowaways came to confront the Korean captain. Sensing their aggression, he sent skilled subordinates to handle them, ultimately succeeding in subduing them. Suddenly, Ajay got a message from the Casanova, and he couldn't stop smiling at his phone. Haiyuan not only keeps fit but also hosts guests at a yoga studio for extra income. On this day, as usual, he went to the studio for a class, only to find that one of the students was actually the eager director. Back at the office, the director found 2 more stowaways aiming to harm Ajun. They hurled insults at the captain, even suggesting Ajun's deportation. The captain and Aji kept pleading to calm the situation. Meanwhile, Hai-Ren first went on a date with Aji, and his hot physique dazzled Aji as soon as he took off his shirt. Later that evening, he invited the captain to a bar for drinks, but unexpectedly, they ran into Aji at the bar. Hai-Ren stepped out to take a call, and the 2 brothers ended up arguing out of jealousy.
네가 여기 깁한 소리 어딨어, 새끼야? 맨날 깡수지나 처먹는 놈.
그리고 교수님?
Right then, the assassin Pierre from France also sought to trouble Ajun. He acquired a fire truck. Posing as firefighters with a few brothers, they then launched smoke bombs into a building. The people inside were terrified and all ran out. Pierre quickly led his brothers inside, and after reaching the control room, he inserted a USB drive and began downloading data. Before leaving, he also installed a timed bomb on the wall. Soon, this incident made the local news headlines. The report stated that the purpose of these criminals was to acquire South Korea's latest AI technology. Unexpectedly, Pierre's actions mirrored a comic Arjun had drawn recently. Because of this, netizens thought Arjun was an accomplice. Meanwhile, scapegoat Arjun was relaxing on the sofa at home, sound asleep. When Meina and her daughter found out, they quickly woke her up.
At this moment,
the intelligence agency people came over. Arjun and Meina were taken to the agency for questioning. At first, Meina was speaking up for Arjun, but then the director told her that Arjun was in debt from playing the stock market and had mortgaged their house. Hearing this, Meina broke down on the spot, hitting and scolding Arjun, while the director sat nearby, enjoying the spectacle. Meina then prepared to confront the director, but unexpectedly, he turned the tables on her. The director was very knowledgeable about Meina's private life. Before getting married, Meina could truly be called a nightclub princess, spending her days in a whirlwind of parties and unclear relationships with many men. When she saw the evidence presented by the director, she dared not speak further and had to get up and leave. The reason this incident occurred actually dates back to not long ago. Ajun's previous comics were all about his experiences as a spy, but he had almost exhausted all his glorious stories. Struggling to find new storylines and having poured all his money into stocks with the market looking grim, Arjun dreaded his wife's reaction if she found out. That day, while picking up his daughter from school, Arjun sat in the car feeling down. Suddenly, he noticed his daughter getting close to a guy with dyed yellow hair. Shocked, Arjun quickly got out of the car to intervene, but what he saw next was even more unbearable. It felt like the good cabbage from his home was being taken by a pig. He secretly followed them. Just when it seemed their date was ending as they were about to part, the blonde-haired guy unexpectedly called out to Sakura, who was leaving. Fortunately, Sakura merely shared instant noodles with the blonde-haired individual. Concealed outside the window, John managed to overhear their conversation regarding his manga.
네 말이 맞아. Apollo procedici akiside.
Arjun immediately felt a mix of emotions. After returning home, he approached Xiaoying to talk about what happened today. However, after talking for a while, Xiaoying's attitude towards him remained unchanged, and he even ended up kicking Arjun out. To prove he wasn't useless, Arjun decided to pick up the microphone again. But after drawing for half a day, he still had no inspiration. Fortunately, after several days of brewing and struggling, Arjun finally found a new breakthrough. Since the positive characters could no longer attract everyone, why not try using a villain character? He decided to create from the perspective of a top terrorist, presenting the crime scenes in a comic format with interconnected plots. The content of this comic issue is about a group of terrorists who come to a building, set it on fire, disguise themselves as firefighters to infiltrate the building, steal data, and then blow up the building. After finishing the comic, Arjun immediately showed it to the editor-in-chief, who was very pleased and promptly agreed to help with the layout and publication. Unexpectedly, after the release of the new work, it became extremely popular, not only doubling the subscription numbers, but also receiving numerous compliments online. Seeing everyone's praises, Arjun was all smiles, but he didn't expect that the next day, a terrorist attack broke out in Seoul. The time, place, methods, and manner of the crime were exactly the same as in his comic. At this point, some internet trolls began to verbally attack him, believing that his comic did not provide positive guidance. Looking at this unfamiliar hater, Arjun decided to personally find out his true identity and teach him a lesson. When he arrived at the person's house, he discovered that the hater was actually a chubby boy. The boy explained that he didn't have many friends in real life and was often bullied, and he made those comments to gain attention. Hearing this, Arjun immediately forgave the chubby boy, not only offering him some encouraging words but also hoping he could stand up against bullying and bravely say no to evil forces, as the terrorist attack had significant implications. The National Intelligence Service believed Arjun was in a poor financial situation and was unaccounted for at the time of the incident, which made him a major suspect, leading them to summon him for questioning. After Meena left the agency, the director continued to question Arjun about the comic. To clear his name, Arjun decided to have the chubby boy testify for him. The boy was very honest, told the director everything about that night in detail.
아니 그러니까 그날 같이 있었다고?
However, the director was still not giving up and asked if he had any evidence. Unexpectedly, Xiaopang produced a video of the conversation between the two from that night, successfully clearing Arjun of the charges. Afterwards, the captain took Arjun to the National Security Bureau's cell, indicating that 3 assassins were already detained there, all targeting Arjun. Previously, to avoid worrying Arjun, he and AZ had not informed him of this matter. After learning all this, Arjun was moved and hugged his brothers. The most important thing now was to catch the terrorist leader. They racked their brains and finally came up with a plan. Since these people were imitating Arjun's comic to commit crimes, why not have Arjun draw another one? They would certainly act according to the comic's content again, and by setting up an ambush in advance, they could catch those terrorists. So Arjun quickly started planning and decided that the latest issue of the comic would feature the robbers planning to rob the Seoul bank. They took the bank staff hostage and cleared out all the money inside. During the hostage situation, a bank employee accidentally triggered the alarm, quickly bringing police to the scene. The robbers used hostages to negotiate with the police, who then provided a getaway car and agreed to retreat 3 kilometers. Just when the robbers thought they had escaped, they were caught by the police halfway. However, the director felt this outcome was not suitable, as it would embarrass the National Security Bureau if it became public. Reluctantly, Arjun revised the storyline. The new plot involves an agent who is conducting business at the bank. He secretly blends into the group of hostages and while the robbers are distracted, single-handedly subdues all of them. After the storyline was revised, the new comic was published on schedule and unsurprisingly topped the Korean comic charts once again. The chief, in order to capture the robbers, had agents lay in wait near the bank in advance. Arjun wanted to join this operation with his good friends, but the chief found an excuse to refuse him.
The 3 elderly gentlemen initiated it. Eating what?
Actually, the director wanted to take all the credit for himself. After all, if he could catch these terrorists, he would achieve a great accomplishment. It wasn't long before that group of terrorists started acting again. Hairen invited the captain and Asia to an art exhibition. Upon arrival, the captain noticed Hairen acting closely with a man he recognized. The man's real name is Jang Zhelong, once a high-ranking official in Korea. During a mission, an unexpected incident led to his family being targeted by the organization. However, the soldiers weren't vigilant, allowing Jang Zhelong to escape to France, becoming an international fugitive. He is also the leader of the terrorists who destroyed the building. To avenge his parents, he devised a plan to incite a civil war. This time he disguised himself as a French tycoon to hold an art exhibition in Korea, and the sailor is also his woman. It was he who instructed the sailor to seduce them. The two then shared a passionate kiss right in front of Asia and the captain.
Hey,
Ajay and the captain saw the goddess being taken away and kept calling out from the side. The next second, they were knocked out by their subordinates and taken to Ajun's house. To vent his anger, Zhang Zhelong slapped the captain several times and kept asking why they killed his family back then and where the gate of hell was, but the captain kept his mouth shut and refused to say anything. So Zhang Zhelong called in a big guy, preparing to teach the captain a lesson. Meanwhile, someone caused trouble at the publishing house, and the innocent director was tied up. Their main goal was to steal the unpublished comics. Under the fat man's punches, the captain was beaten badly, but he still didn't reveal the location of the Gate of Hell. Just then, Hyman mentioned its location as the captain had accidentally let it slip during a previous date. Zhang Zhelong quickly took his men and left. At that moment, Ajay asked the captain what exactly the Gate of Hell was, and the captain finally revealed it was a nuclear bomb. Moreover, it was manufactured by the former Soviet Union, and if they find it, the consequences would be unimaginable. The two must find a way to stop them. Yes, indeed. Just dreamed that the sun gave it to me. The captain then used his phone to call Arjun, while the director and his team were lying in wait at the bank. They had planned to stage a brilliant trap, but unexpectedly fell into Zhang Zhelong's scheme. At that moment, Arjun's new comic was released, and its content shockingly depicted using the Hell's Gate to blow up the entire Korea. As soon as it was published, public opinion turned against Arjun. Arjun called his wife Meena, telling her to quickly go to the basement to rescue the captain and Ajay, while he went to protect the Hell's Gate. It must be said, Meena truly is the wife of a top agent. He pretended to be drunk, stumbling down to the basement, and managed to easily defeat the two guards at the entrance. He then rushed into the basement to rescue the captain and Asia. Meanwhile, Zhang Zhelong had already arrived at the National Intelligence Agency headquarters with his men. They cut off the signals and, carrying guns, launched an attack all the way to the surveillance center, threatening the staff to turn on all the monitors. Taking advantage of the situation, Haiyuan led a few others to the vault, and after much effort, they finally managed to open the door. Inside was the Hell's Gate nuke. Teacher, they carried the nuclear bomb in front of Zhang Zhelong, and at that moment, Ajun's figure appeared on the surveillance screen. A nearby subordinate quickly reminded Zhang Zhelong that Ajun is also an agent. At this point, Ajun was swiftly moving through the corridors, shooting out the surveillance cameras and attacking the gambler elements. Zhang Zhelong released the three assassins who had been captured and instructed them to kill Ajun. When Ajun arrived at the vault, he found that the nuclear bomb was already gone. Zhang Zhelong also told Ajun through the surveillance that the comic he published was created by AI and was better than what Ajun could draw. Meanwhile, the three assassins finally found Arjun to end him. As the mission neared completion, Zhang Zhelong prepared to retreat with his men, killing a few staff members on the way out. Arjun was in a fierce fight with the assassins and amidst the chaos managed to grab a water gun from one of them. They were sent to get their meals. Meanwhile, the director was still waiting at the bank for the prey to bite. Finally, someone from the National Intelligence Agency reported that Zhang Zhelong had taken the Hell Gate. Hearing this, the director's blood pressure spiked with anger. By then, Ajun had caught up with the retreating Zhang Zhelong. But before he could act, the opponent fired a machine gun, forcing Ajun to hide behind the stairs. Zhang Zhelong ordered his men to quickly eliminate Ajun. They reached the rooftop and activated the Hell Gate. By the time Arjun beat Zhang Zhelong's men and got to the rooftop, the nuke was active. He quickly shot and killed the nearby chopper pilot, Jijashu. The two quickly engaged in a fierce gunfight. At the crucial moment, the captain and Asia arrived, but saw the enemy was heavily armed. They hid under the stairs, waiting for Zhang Zhelong and Hairen to run out of bullets before daring to charge. Both sides were evenly matched, with Ajun and Zhang Zhelong teaming up for a PK, while the captain faced Hairen, and AJ battled the last tall guy. To quickly deal with Ajun, Zhang Zhelong pulled out a knife, catching Ajun off guard and landing several hits. The captain, Hairen, was also in a fierce fight. In a moment of carelessness, Hairen fell off the rooftop, and the captain quickly grabbed his hand. Though captivated by his looks, he couldn't let him fall easily. After much effort, he finally pulled Haiyuan up, but unexpectedly, Hairen repaid kindness with betrayal. Fortunately, after Asia used a trick to take down the tall guy and then knocked out the sailor with a flying kick, it was just Ajun and Zhang Zhelong left without a clear winner. At this moment, Ajun somehow found a pencil and started swinging it wildly. Then, Arjun quickly and skillfully struck Zhang Zhelong's major artery with a pencil, taking him out in no time, leaving only the task of dealing with the nuclear bomb. The only solution at the moment was to load the nuclear bomb onto a helicopter and wait until it reached an altitude of 30,000 miles to neutralize the danger. The three of them then played rock, paper, scissors to decide who would fly the helicopter. In the end, Arjun won, and he piloted the helicopter, while tearfully calling his wife and children.
Hold up the sign. Who do you want to give the pants back to?
After hanging up the phone last time, there was only 1 minute left before the nuclear bomb was set to explode. At this moment, Meena and her daughter burst into tears, and unexpectedly, the captain received a call from Arjun. I must say, Arjun is quite resourceful. Before the nuclear bomb exploded, he untied his shoelaces, tied them to the helicopter's control stick, and then jumped out of the helicopter, ultimately saving his life. I have to admit, this movie is a bit silly, but it's quite entertaining to watch mindlessly.